Let's now talk about this man behind me. This is the focus tonight on the right stand. There is a reason why. This is the man who is the first to unfurl, hoist our tricolour. The tricolour of Azad Hind, of independent India. And today, he himself is being denied his due. 18th of August 1945, that's the day after tomorrow, or Sunday, becomes the 74th death anniversary officially of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. But what if I told you that his date of death or demise was actually 40 years later, on the 16th of September 1985, where he died unknown, where he died as Gumnami Baba or Bhagwan Ji. Many people would scoff at that. But tonight, we'll give you hard proof. But before we get into that hard proof, here's a bit of a flashback. It was in June this year when we unraveled this entire conundrum around Netaji. And we brought to you a few facts. We not just theorized, but then backed it with actual proof, hard, irrefutable proof, that the man who everybody proclaimed dead in 1945 was perhaps alive till 1985. Have a look as we do a quick recap and then we dive in to the real hard proof live in the studio tonight. This is a representation of perhaps how Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose may have looked if he was indeed Gumnami Baba. On the 7th of June, we unraveled the mystery of Bose's disappearance with stunning letters that establish the link between Bose and Gumnami Baba or Bhagwan Ji, and theorized why Bose chose to remain Gumnam. And exactly a week later, a confirmation of the theory. Do you, beyond doubt, claim that the handwritings were the same?
My opinion is that the same person wrote these two questions that you sent me, 1 and 2.
Independent, internationally acclaimed handwriting expert Kurt Baggett, who has worked over 5,000 cases over the last 4 decades, spelt it out for us, decoding the letters that expose the undeniable link.
It's over 30 different similarities, which is very unusual. It would be hard for a forger to do that many when they don't know what we're looking for, you see. So it is my professional expert opinion that the same person wrote it.
The man who lived a life of anonymity in Uttar Pradesh from the 1950s to 1985 was in fact the same person responsible for liberating India from the British. Now, more proof emerges, more evidence of the Gumnami Baba Netaji Bose link. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to quickly zoom in. Before we dive into it, I want to give it a shot with your naked eye. If you can see the screen very clearly, there are a few alphabets that have been written on this side and there are a few that have been written on this side. I'm going to ask you to find similarities to the naked eye in this alphabet, that is the I. That is the alphabet I. Can you find the similarity? If to your naked eye, both look the same, that means both have been written by the same person. If to your naked eye, you find similarities on both sides, even though both have been written at least about 30 years apart, would you not want to believe and concede that this could be the same person? Now what if I tell you that beyond this, we have an expert with us live on the right stand to take the right stand on whether Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's handwriting and this person, Bhagwan Ji or Gumnami Baba, were the same, are the same. That is why we are saying, what if Netaji Bose was stamped out, deliberately stamped out before time? Let's get into it straight away. We have with us in the studio a very, very learned gentleman by the name of Ashok Kashyap. Who is Ashok Kashyap, ladies and gentlemen? Ashok Kashyap is from a family of forensic experts who have been in this business since 1935. Top handwriting expert, expert in examining fingerprints and handwriting. 53 years of experience is what this man has in examining documents. 53 years in experience. Consulted by courts and banks to verify documents, approached by foreign courts to verify documents, and he's cracked more than 7,000 forgery cases. So if these handwritings are indeed a forgery, he should be one of the first people to make it out. Now, he's also, like I said, from a family of handwriting experts. His father is a past master. He's the youngest of 4 brothers, all of them in the forensic analysis profession. Ashok Kashyap ji, wonderful to have you with us. We also have Mr. Chandrachud Bose and Anuj Dhar, both co-authors of Conundrum and also part of Mission Netaji, and who've been champions of this cause tirelessly for more than 2 decades. They've been following this story. Ratan Sharda, supporter of the RSS, author, and who's also very closely followed the history of the RSS's equations with Subhash Chandra Bose. So we'll bring him. Chandra K. Bose, grandnephew of Netaji, also with us. Thank you very much, sir. And I would like you to watch the broadcast very carefully because some of it is very, very telling. Manojit Mandal, political analyst, leans towards the Trinamool, and he's one of those people who till date has never mourned Bose on the 18th of August because he believes that Bose lived on. So we'll see if he is convinced tonight further. Ashok ji, I'm going to start with you, sir. What is it that you have with you, and what is it that you had to analyze? You had 2 letters, a few sets of letters. Can you explain to us what was given to you?
Well, I was provided 2 question documents, 2 letters by the way of question documents, and there.
So those you have labelled as Q, Q1, Q2, Q3.
Q1, yes, Q1 series, Q1 to Q5 or Q7. These letters had to be compared with the authentic and the non-controversial writings of Netaji.
Netaji, okay.
And the purpose of the inquiry was to compare both the sets of writings and to find out whether they have been written or not written by the same person.
By the same person.
And for my opinion, I was supposed to give detailed and cogent reasons, which I have given in my detailed report.
Now, you have a lot of charts. Can you just explain to us all the charts? And I'm going to hand it across to you to explain to us what you have in front of us. And if possible, I'm just going to walk across there and also have a look because you've got my interest piqued. Yeah,
Well,
tell us, sir.
In front of me, there are juxtaposition charts. Their function is to display similarities or dissimilarities for the appreciation of the observer. So we have taken out, extracted common letters and words, common letters and words in the available in both the sets of writings.
Right.
For instance, if you permit me to.
Yeah, please go ahead and show it to the camera behind you. Yeah, perfect. They're looking at it. They will zoom in. You just hold it where you want to. Yeah.
The first example is of the word that.
Right.
THAT combination.
Right.
Now these 6 small portions have been extracted from disputed letters.
Letters. So these are the disputed letters. So when the disputed letters are some things which are supposedly written by this person, Gumnami Baba or Bhagwanji, sometime in the 1960s, 70s and 80s. Yeah? 62, 63. That's, yeah.
After that, I took out the same combination of letters, that is the word that, commonly available that, from various locations available among the admitted writings of Netaji.
Ji.
And then tried to compare them and see whether there was a difference or there was any similarity.
So that is Netaji?
Yes.
And this is supposedly Gumnami Baba or Bhagwanji? Suppose it.
Yes.
So,
This we can call it as an anonymous because we
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
who has written it.
who has written it? Correct. You didn't know who had written it.
See, at the time of examination, we never knew as to who wrote them.
Okay.
After comparison with the admitted writings, non-controversial writings of Netaji, we found that there was profound and extraordinary clinching evidence of similarity available in both the sets of writings, in all the letters intersect.
Right. Now, if you can just show me the comparison, and we just ask the
Yeah.
camera to zoom out a little so we can see both of them. Yeah, आप उसको नीचे रखिए. They will follow you, sir. अब आप बताइए इस तरफ जो that लिखे हैं, this bunch of that
जी.
and that, what are the similarities?
To take up the first letter, there is a flat top or T crossing. We call it T crossing in the upper portion of the letter T,
Right.
and that normally crosses the staff of the following letter H. That is the peculiarity about it.
Right.
The same thing is also among the disputed writings.
Right. यानी सर 30 साल बाद भी आदत नहीं बदली है.
आदत नहीं बदली है.
But there is, what I noticed was, there are different ways that Netaji has written
Yes.
that. You know, the T bar or the crossing at the top
yeah.
is long in some cases,
I will
it's short in other
I will
cases.
explain. Now, I have emphasized on the formation of the T crossing. Somewhere it is small, somewhere it is much longer, somewhere it is detached also, and somewhere it is close to the top of the concluding letter T. So there is variation in the location and position of the T crossing.
Correct.
That is admitted. But that doesn't mean that they have been written by different persons.
Okay.
Because the same person can write with normal variations, and there is a gap of about 23 years or so between the two sets of writings also. The writing is not a mechanical process in writing. It depends on the mood of the person.
Mood of the person.
The mood
also.
of the person.
But वो
yeah.
जो कहते हैं ना फितरत, character remains the same.
Yeah. So the basic construction and the composition of the individual letters and their other connected parts is similar.
Is similar. Is there another example that you can show me, sir? Before we talk more in length,
Yes.
alphabets or some other
The
habits?
next example is the word was.
Okay.
We have taken out 3 illustrations from the anonymous letters.
How he is written
I would call
was.
them anonymous.
You'll call them
I
anonymous
don't
because
know
you didn't know
to they belong.
who this person is. Take
Yes. These are the three exemplars taken out from different places available among the suspected writings.
Right.
Suspected anonymous writings.
Anonymous writings.
Now the same word has been extracted from different locations of the non-controversial writings also. So after comparison, it is found that there is similarity. Though there is a bit of normal variation, but we cannot say that the very fabric or the intrinsic character of the writing has been altered.
Altered.
It is immutable.
Now, these are words that you have picked out. Are there similarities in specific alphabets, the way certain alphabets have been written?
Yes. This is another chart
Ji.
which deals exclusively with individual letters. Majority of them are capital letters, and some of them may be small letters also.
Small letters. If you can focus on the I and A. I, because that was something which even Kurt Baggett had pointed it out, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Yes. Letter I shows extraordinary similarity among all the disputed, all the questioned writings. And the same letter taken from the admitted writings also shows a lot of similarity.
Yeah, if you can just move to the admitted writings, I'm going to ask the camera to pan to the admitted writings. Yeah, just wait, this one. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what is I would like to go describe the similarity. There is a loop in the upper portion.
Yes.
Everywhere there is a loop. although the dimension of the loop may be different.
Correct.
But the persistence of loop and the termination of the stroke by way of a hook, small hook or a knob at the termination. This gives it its own peculiar identity and mannerism. So, and the same thing is possible when we compare the same letter available in different places among the anonymous writings.
Correct.
So this is the clinching evidence of similarity.
Even the A, right below that, sir, right below that,
Yes,
if you see
A.
the A,
I
the
will
way
come
the
to
A
it.
has been written,
Yes.
it's very unique.
Yes,
and
certainly.
it seems to be the same on both sides.
Yeah. Capital A also has got a wide base, and it is angular at the top. It is angular at the top.
Right.
And it has got wide base.
Wide base. Sir, I'm just going to ask the camera to move and just आप उसको नीचे रखिए, वहीं पे नीचे रखिए. Now, if we can try and show both sides, the admitted and the disputed, I'm going to request our VJ to be able to see if you can see both sides. The A's on both sides look the same. Yes, there you go. Now, for our viewers, if you can stay, sir, if you can just take your hand off. आप अपना हाथ हटाएंगे तो फिर, yeah. And if you can just pan from right to left and just stay there. Now, if for our viewers, just stay there. Just pan back, please. Camera pan back, please. Yeah, there you go. Now, let's just stay there for our viewers to absorb. Pan right and stay there. Stay. I'm going to request our VJ to stay. Yeah, I'm doing this live on air because I want our viewers to see how the A's and I's look so same. Now, please understand, ladies and gentlemen, what you're seeing extremely to your extreme right, those set of visuals, those set of alphabets that have been written by Netaji, those are the admitted writings. These were written in the 30s and the 40s. And what you're seeing to the left of your screen, written as Q8, Q9 and Qs, those Qs, those are the disputed ones. Now, you can see the similarity between both. The A's on this side and the A's on that side, the I's on this side, the I's on that side, the D's which are just above you on the screen itself, you can keep it there only. If the viewers can also focus on the D's. Now the D slant, so there is a story there too. It remains the same across 30 years. The alphabet D, yes.
Yeah. The letter D contains a loop at the top.
Yeah.
And then the loop is slanting. The loop is slanting. And then there is a bit of projection at the base.
Yes.
A small projection at the base on the left side. But however, there is some normal variation also in some of the question writings.
Right.
But all these normal variations can only increase our confidence in the veracity and the truthfulness of the concurrent similarities of the writings.
Now, before I come back to you, Mr. Kashyap, let me ask Anujdhar and Chandrachud to tell us which are the letters. Do you have a copy of the two letters and can you explain, Chandrachud, what are the two sets that you have shared with Mr. Kashyap? And you told Mr. Kashyap that the admitted set is that of Netaji.
Yes.
What did you tell him? What was your brief to him?
Well, the brief was that we had one set of handwriting which were authorized set of handwriting. We got that from the Mukherjee Commission exhibits. And so they were stamped by the Mukherjee Commission as authentic. So there is no question about the authenticity. The other set of documents which we gave him was of Bhagwanji, which we had shared with Kurt Beckett as well.
Right.
Whereas we told him that the first set belonged to Netaji, these were Netaji's handwritings, we did not tell him whose handwritings the second set were.
Correct.
We just told him that we have received this from a private source and we want to ascertain whether they are the handwriting of the same person.
Right. Can you, to your camera, just pick up those documents and show it? So that is a set of documents that you had shared. Now, these are what letters written by who, as you talk through it?
These are Bhagwanji's handwritings.
And letters written in which year?
These were written in 1962, end of 1962 and end of or early 1963.
So 1962, 1963. So at least about 18, 20 years after he was pronounced dead on the 18th of August, 1945.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, and then you also gave him Netaji's letters.
Netaji's letters which
were
ranged
written?
from early 1930s till 1945.
Till
So
1945.
the whole range of, so that he could judge the change, natural variation in handwriting with growing age.
Right. Now, one of the things, Mr. Kashyap, I need to ask you, since you're a master at catching forgery, could this have been forged? Because many people said that Gumnami Baba fraud hai. They don't exist. So a lot of members within the Bose family itself thought this Gumnami Baba is a figment of imagination, is a fraud, is a plant, etc.
Well, I cannot comment on that point, whether he is a fraud or charlatan or imposter. But as far as an examiner of question document, the comparison of handwriting is concerned.
Yeah.
I have compared the suspected writings with the standard writings very dispassionately, very impartially. And I have come to the conclusion that they have been written by one and the same person. Although with the passage of time, there have been certain normal variations. But these variations cannot deviate us into disbelieving that there could be of different persons. We can't believe like that. No. So, yes. On the other hand, these normal variations augment our understanding of this case.
Right.
That they are certainly of the same person.
They're certainly of the same person.
Same person.
Now, let me ask you, Mr. Kashyap, are you willing to stand in a court of law and say, I believe these are the same people?
Definitely.
You believe?
Without any shadow of doubt.
Without any shadow of doubt.
I can say that I can very firmly say that these writings have been written by one and the same person.
And in these letters, my final question to you before I bring in our other panelists in Chandra Bose and also Ratan Sharda, let me ask you this. Do you believe that this person deliberately tried to change his handwriting, or do you believe that there are clear personality similarities which exist with no intent?
There is no element of disguise at all imaginable. Imaginably, there is no such feature at all. Neither among the suspected writings, nor among the authentic writings. They are all natural writings.
They are all natural writings.
Dominated by the circumstances and the mood of Netaji.
Mood of Netaji. So you are convinced that both have been written by Netaji Bose?
Both are definitely written by Netaji, but it appears that they have been written under the influence of different circumstances.
Different circumstances. So times have changed. Obviously, what is written in 1930s and what is written in 1960s, there is a 30-year difference.
Because I'm not aware of the history or whatever was going on in his mind when he was writing them. But as I earlier reiterated, that handwriting is not a mechanical process, just like typewriting or computer writing. It is very much influenced by the mood, temperament, circumstances, physical and the mental condition of the writer.
Now, these are serious claims that Mr. Kashyap is making. Let me ask Chandra Bose. I'm not even getting to Chandrachud Ghosh or Anuj Dhar now. I'm going to go across to Mr. Chandra Bose and ask you, Mr. Chandra Bose, are you convinced, sir, that the government and we as a people should stop observing 18th August 1945 as Subhash Chandra Bose's death anniversary? Let's start there before we get into the Bose equal to Bhagwanji or Bose equal to Gumnami Baba. I'm not even getting there first. First, I'm coming to this part. Are you convinced today that we should urge the government to officially say, expunge 18th August 1945 as Bose's death anniversary?
You see, when we started the declassification movement, the idea was that we must have a closure for the hero of Asia, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. We could not find clinching evidence to establish the plane crash theory. That is why we were trying to locate documentation, proof to conclude what actually happened to Subhash Chandra Bose. You see, as far as the handwriting is concerned, we have already gone through this. You see, there were 4 handwriting experts. When the Mukherjee Commission was doing its inquiry, 4 handwriting experts were consulted. Out of that, 1 expert did say that the handwriting was similar.
Ji.
But 3 handwriting experts negated that
there were
theory,
two of them.
that it was not similar.
1 minute. Now,
Let me
There were
finish.
two reports.
let him come. Let him
You will
complete.
have your time.
Let him complete.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
Now, coming to clinching evidence regarding Gumnami Baba, as we are discussing in detail about Gumnami Baba,
Right.
there was a DNA test conducted by the Justice Mukherjee Commission on the tooth of Gumnami Baba, which was found
Again wrong.
among his belongings.
1 minute.
DNA was done, matching was done with both family members. The report was negative. This
Right.
is clinching evidence to prove that Gumnami had nothing to do with Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose.
Right.
I believe in modern science, we would go by scientific evidence.
Right.
Similarity and in handwriting will not prove the case.
Right.
We need to take a holistic approach
Right.
to arrive at a closure on Netaji.
Right.
You see, as far as 18th August is concerned,
Right.
I have always said that we cannot believe in the air crash unless we find conclusive evidence. We have not found conclusive evidence.
Correct.
But that doesn't mean that he was in Russia, he was killed in Russia. That does not mean that he lived as Gumnami Baba in Faizabad. These are diversionary tactics.
Okay.
The clinching evidence about any theory would be found in 3 Japanese files which are there in Tokyo.
Right.
With the Japanese authorities.
Well,
in fact, that's what they have said.
Chandra Bose,
You see,
my point is,
Sushma
sir,
Swaraj
we-
had written to
Cha-
her counterpart.
Yes.
Let me finish, please.
Ji.
Had written to her counterpart in 2016, and the Japanese authorities said that we have 5 files on Subhash Chandra Bose.
Right.
2 files were released, 3 files have not been released.
Right.
See, the Japan knows the truth.
Right.
We must insist on Japan
Correct.
to release the 3 files to reach a proper closure.
Point taken,
on
Chandra
this
Bose.
great mystery
Chandra Bose.
that India has seen.
Well, Chandra Bose, at least you and me are on the same page when we believe that we have more than enough reason to believe that 18th August 1945 was not the date of demise of Subhash Chandra Bose. So we should officially expunge that date and not treat it as Subhash Bose's death anniversary, 18th of August. That's where our or the larger agreement stands. The variation comes from thereafter, where people like Chandrachud and Anuj Dhar would want to challenge. One of the aspects, Manojit Mandal and Ratan Sharda, before I come across to you, sir, there were only 2 handwriting experts
From the government side.
from the
Two-
government
two
side.
reports, two reports.
2 reports from the government side.
Not 3.
One of the reports was of S.K. Mandal, which report I have with me. Subrata Kumar Mandal, who dismissed it outright without explaining, without any explanations. All the questioned handwritings, he just said they do not match. I have the report, sir. A 3-page report. A 3-page report, sir, where a handwriting expert, I have a handwriting expert live with me. I'm just going to, at the cost of breaking mold here, I'm just going to walk across in your frame. Sorry, I'm just going to go. Please see, sir. Will you write a report like this about somebody who you know matters so much in our history? Where if you are going to say 2 pieces or 2 sets of handwritings don't match, will you write a report like this is my question as you peruse that.
No,
Secondly, sir, we had Mr. B. Lal, who's no longer with us. Mr. B. Lal had more than 360 pages. See, 360 similarities is what he drew.
Yes.
And at least about 5 files, 5 cartons. 5 cartons full of findings that he,
Shimla.
that have never,
G. Chudi Shimla.
that would have not, what you're saying? sir?
Yes, he was GEQD Shimla, Government Examiner Position Document.
Yeah, of documents. So I'm just saying, as far as the DNA report is concerned, sir, there are contradictions to that too. Because there is what we call the details which actually allow you to track and study. Why is it that if there was no match, what is it called?
Electropherogram.
The electropherogram.
Electropherogram.
There are multiple problems.
The electropherogram
is missing.
If I were to apply on RTI, Mr. Bose, you should do it, Chandra Bose. You should ask for it in an RTI application, the details of the electropherogram. Because that's what will help you and get an analyzer and see if the DNA matches or not, because the government or those who have this are unwilling to part with that information. So there are questions, Mr. Bose. Anuj Dhar and Chandrachud.
I'll just
point on the DNA aspect.
Yeah.
I mean, there are 2 issues. I mean, DNA, science, and all these are very nice things to hear, nice phrases to talk about. But science is not an absolute thing. Science is not just science. There is politics behind science as well. So when Mr. Bose is championing the cause of the DNA report submitted to the Mukherjee Commission, he should be able to explain how come even before the DNA test was initiated, one prominent Bengali newspaper reported the findings of the report. I would like to
6
hear-
months before the
months
DNA report was out.
before the report
I've
was
seen
out.
the date of report.
So Mr. Chandra Kumar Bose, with all his scientific knowledge and experience, should be able to explain that, number one. Number two is he should be able to share with the world the electrophotogram on the basis of which the DNA opinion was formed by the CFSL in Kolkata.
Wait, it should be made public.
It
The
should be made
findings of
public.
this should be
So,
made public.
I mean, when he says he is entitled to his opinion, but that is only his opinion. It has no scientific evidence, although he loves to talk about
Well,
science.
it is also your opinion, Chandrachud.
Yes, but I'm asking
I'm
for
just
the
going to say,
evidence.
I'm just going to say, this is everybody has their opinion, and everybody. I'm just going to go by facts. I have live here on our show, Ratan Sharda, a handwriting expert who has pages and pages. Just the comparison report itself. I have not even gone to his report. He's just made such detailed charts. Where is that chart in Mr. S.K. Mandal's report? Why is Mr. S.K. Mandal refusing to take CNN News 18's calls? Why is S.K. Mandal not willing to come on record to say, I stand by what I have said? Because I have his deposition in front of Justice Mukherjee. And in the deposition, he says he has done everything. The question asked is, do you agree for study of individual characteristics of a handwriting? The following facts are relevant. Pen pressure, spacing, pause, pen pauses, pen lift, starting and ending strokes, placing, slope, size, connective strokes, intra and inter letter size proportions, natural variation due to fatigue, illness, age, etc. He has said yes to all of it, sir. But what is a single factor mentioned in that report that he has submitted?
No.
Not a single factor is reported. Now you please tell me, sir, why should there be gaps, Ratan Sharda? Why this treatment to somebody like Subhash Chandra Bose, whom we call the champion of Azad Hind, the person because of whom the British decided to leave India because of the forces that he was able to gather, the person who first unfurled our tricolour and hoisted it and saluted our tricolour, the person who dreamt of independent India in totality, the person who was in close contact with the members of the RSS, the former chief of the RSS, two former chiefs. It's all there in the archives of the RSS, but still it's not made public.
See, first of all, let us keep that aside, that RSS is not supposed to make public its sole document. Somebody goes, they can find if there is any document available today which is there. I have no issue with that. My point is that I see no vested interest in Chandrachud or Dhar to make up all this and dedicate the 20 years of life to this particular project. I see no reason at all. There were definite reasons why his death was politically covered up by the previous government, because they feared that he was more popular than the existing leaders. It is very clear. Although now out of 4 commissioner inquiries and reports, including Japanese, only 1 report raises doubts about Netaji's death. 3 are confirming that he died in the air crash. But point is, we have diffidence about reconciling the historical issues, whether it's Turks or Mongols or Mughals or Netaji or British. We somehow try to brush aside these issues. I don't know why we are so afraid of history, why the commission inquiry reports are not made totally public, why the files are not made totally public. I cannot understand. Suppose today we say, okay, Mr. Dhar what says is right, then where do we go from here? Will the government take it up as the official position? I do not know.
Why?
We have to open up every possible avenue to check every possible evidence and say, okay, we close the matter. How can one of the biggest sons of the soil has a past which is totally wrapped in secrecy, mystery, and which is actually a disservice you are doing to the nation and to the great soul?
My point
so
is,
that
sir,
is the question.
My point is,
that
sir,
why
is
this kind of incomplete stories?
Sorry, pardon me, sir, if I'm a little tongue-in-cheek.
Why DNA report cannot be made public? Why DNA details are not made public? Can we not have another DNA report?
Exactly my point, Ratan Sharda ji, that if this...
why we cannot believe the government reports?
If we have a government, sir, which I'm so proud that they have done it, that they can bring a law against Teen Talaq, they can revoke Article 370, they can take policy decisions.
They release the files also.
Yeah,
Modi
which
government released
declassified
also.
majority of the files. My point is, sir, why is it then that all that belongs to Bhagwan ji,
See, even
which
962
was
file,
which was
like I
almost,
talked last
sir, the
time,
watch that
why
Bhagwan ji, what was
Henderson
found in
book report
Bhagwan
cannot be
ji's
released?
possession, this Gumnami Baba's possession, the watch that was found in his possession,
Yes.
sir, was the same watch worn by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, and it is there in his
Yes.
arm. There is photographic evidence. Now, please tell me, sir, why is that watch lying inside a museum which
so
has
why
not
do
been
you
opened
want
for
to
1
brush
year?
aside?
Sir, I don't know, sir. I'm asking you. I'm also wanting to change
I
the
can
truth, because this is
understand-
one person that who we should
I
rev
can
up, and not
understand.
somebody we should
Sir, I would
we
urge-
should condemn. We should condemn to the
Yes,
pages of Gumnami. We should not turn him Gumnami, sir. I believe, sir. I believe. I'm on the same page. But if you're all on the same
I
page,
can-
then where is the
I
solution?
can understand. Yes, I can understand the reluctance of the previous governments who had their own axe to grind, because the way Netaji was thrown off Congress presidentship, the way he was mistreated all his life, and the way he was mistreated after his death, at least now this government, I urge this government,
Sir,
that whatever is available, please
Off
make
the
it
record,
public and
off the
let there
record,
be
former prime
some
ministers know of his
impartial,
existence.
relook
Off the
at all
record,
the
everybody
documents.
is willing to say a lot of things, including Justice Mukherjee, but they are not willing to come on record. Now, what do I do, sir? What do you do? This has to be shown. There has to be some intent. Mr. Chandra Bose, Mr. Chandra Bose now has an eye, has a window, has a passage with the current disposition. Mr. Bose, before I bring in Manojit, I'm sorry, you've been very, very patient. 42 minutes onto the show. Why don't you make a comment, sir, and then I'll go across to Chandra Bose, who's put his hand up again. Mr. Bose, I'm just going to allow Manojit a comment. He's not spoken right through the show.
Anand, just 2-3 lines from
Thank you.
very famous modern poet.
Ji.
After such knowledge, what forgiveness? Know the history has cunning passages, contrived corridors. This is what we have done to this great hero. We have just, erased, stamped him out from the history, and thus we have also rewritten the history of our nation. Look at what could have happened if he were to be on the limelight in India after 1945. The history of the nation could have changed. And here I would like to congratulate both Mr. Dhar and Mr. Ghosh for their untiring effort for 20 years. And let me tell you, Anand, Mr.
Right.
Mukherjee, probably, if I'm not mistaken, and Mr. Dhar and Mr. Ghosh probably were present in that particular program. One program was conducted by a local Bengali channel where Mr. Mukherjee actually admitted on television that my assumption is that Gumnami Baba was indeed Netaji. Mr. Ghosh and Mr. Dhar, can you remember this particular show by a channel, local Bengali channel, done some time ago, maybe 10-15 years ago? Do you remember this? I can name the name of the
Yes.
talk show.
Yes.
Kuya?
2010
Dhar and
this
Mr.
clip.
I can clearly remember most Mr. Dhar and Mr. Ghosh were present in that particular program, and Mr. Mukherjee actually acknowledged or admitted that perhaps Gumnami Baba was Netaji. Now the kind of evidence that are coming out, in fact, including the declassified file from the government of West Bengal, that Netaji's family was under surveillance even after 1950. Now, what does it suggest?
1970s,
Netaji were not to be-
80s.
No, till 70 and 80.
1950. Yes.
The point
These
is,
documents are there with the government of West Bengal, and they have declassified this file. These are there in the Netaji Museum in Kolkata. Let me tell you, I think
My
we
point
need
is,
to
sir,
consistently pursue on this matter.
Yeah, not just
and
consistently
we must
pursue, sir.
get to the bottom of the truth.
This is not a matter of politics. This is a matter of our
Yes.
country and one of the true heroes of our nation. And Chandra K.
Absolutely.
Bose, sir, my point is, if you and me are on the same page when we believe he did not die on the 18th of August 1945, then we need to know what happened thereafter. And if there is proof, or if there was obfuscation of real data, we need to get all that data out. We need to put out now, sir, the number outweighs. If it is 2 government voices who said no, there are 3 independent voices who are saying yes. If I were to count Bilal, Kurt Baggett and Ashok Kashyap here live, sir, there are 3 voices today who are saying that these handwritings are of the same person, 30 years apart. We need to show some conviction and say, perhaps if this would have happened, would it not be such a big travesty, Chandra K. Bose, if that was the reality and people knew but they did not do anything about it? Final word, sir. I have to wind up the show.
The NDA 2 government under the leadership of Narendra Modi ji is committed to solve Netaji mystery. But we have to have a very scientific approach. You see, I cannot doubt
This is science.
the
This is-
DNA
handwriting is
report
science.
of a
I mean-
central forensic lab. We cannot deny that. Now the point is, what about the Sahai Commission report? There is a Sahai
you
Commission
cannot deny the
report
handwriting
which
analysis
was
also.
submitted
He's
regarding
also signed. What
Gumnami
is he
Baba.
talking about?
That should be released.
Yes.
That should be put in the
Sir,
public domain.
really
What I
surprised by the
understand,
statement
Sahai
of Mr.
Commission
Bose.
has
My-
clearly
really
stated
surprised.
Yes.
that there is no evidence to establish
Really
any
surprised.
link with Gumnami Baba and Netaji.
my point
so
is,
let
sir,
us
no,
take
that
a
is
holistic
inconclusive.
approach.
My point
We
is, sir,
must
either
my
way.
point
solve
is, sir,
this mystery,
my point is,
but
sir,
we cannot
a certain
zero in
eminent justice,
on
sir,
any particular theory
has
as
said
of
that
now.
a
We
day
don't
before the
have
report came to him,
to
he
zero
was
in on
told,
any
he
theory.
was told that the DNA
government
matches, sir.
is committed to solve the mystery,
Mr. Bose,
but let us not jump to any conclusion
Mr.
without
Bose,
any conclusive evidence.
My humble request, sir, my humble request, the person who said that on phone he was told that the DNA reports match, but when he got the reports didn't match. The person who
Yes.
was very,
That's right.
who was absolutely convinced.
Where is the evidence for that?
Sir,
Where
who was
is the evidence?
Sir, the evidence is in
We
Kolkata.
need hard evidence
the
for
evidence,
that.
Chandra K. Bose, the
You
evidence
are
is in
questioning
Kolkata.
a central
He's just a phone
forensic
call away,
laboratory.
sir. Mr. Chandra K. Bose, I
think-
urge you, sir. I
I
urge
think
you
we
to
need
just
to
go and
do a
meet this
better
person.
study.
Sir, I urge you to just meet this person one-on-one,
Sure.
and he would tell you what the truth about Subrata Mandal is, what the truth about the DNA report is, and why he was not able to put it in his official
Okay.
commission report. If you were to do that, sir, you would join us in this cause and say 18th August
Anand,
1945 certainly
somebody
isn't his death
dedicates
anniversary.
20 years or 40
It's
man
certainly-
years of life.
Yeah.
And if somebody is trying to
Right.
jump to conclusion, that's very sad.
Well, let's.
40
I have to
man
leave it
years
here.
lost and they are
We would
saying
like
we're
to take
jumping
this
to
forward, and
Well,
we will
there
take
is
this
no
forward.
proof to establish
But Chandra
Gumnami
Bose,
Baba was
Chandra Bose,
Netaji.
Chandra Bose,
The
I'm just saying,
handwriting
sir.
is not a full
Chandra Bose,
method.
I am saying it
I
on
am
record
sorry
here,
to
sir.
say, with due
I am saying
respect
it on record
to the
here, sir.
handwriting experts.
At great
But
risk,
it is not
sir. I am
a
saying this,
conclusive
sir.
evidence.
There is an eminent
I'm
justice
sorry.
sitting in Kolkata, Chandra K. Bose, who's just a phone call away, sir. He will meet you, and if he will meet you, he will tell you the truth. And when you listen to him and when you get it from him firsthand, sir, I hope you will also turn a believer. Because he's unwilling to come
Justice
on camera.
Mukherjee has not written in his
Sir,
report.
He's
Justice
unwilling to come
Mukherjee
on
has
camera, sir.
written
That's the travesty.
that
I have to wind
Gumnami
up.
Baba was not
He will not
Netaji.
believe
I have to
anybody
wind up.
That is
unless
the
he's a
report.
communist.
Sir,
He
he
will
has-
only
his
believe
personal
his
opinion
My simple
doesn't
point is,
matter.
Chandra K. Bose, please
Justice
meet him
Mukherjee
personally.
Commission
Please
clearly
please meet him
states
personally.
Gumnami Baba has nothing to do with Netaji.
The quest is on, sir.
This is what
The
Justice
quest is on,
Mukherjee
sir.
has stated.
Sir, your
Why
He will
don't we
believe
go
only
by
by
the
the quest is
document?
on,
Only
sir.
leftist source
Before I
are
leave, let me tell you,
Let's
sir,
go by the
the
document.
lawyer
What
representing
he
your
says-
family in
what
1974,
he says is
sir,
personal
in front of the
opinion.
Khosla Commission said that Netaji did not die in August 1945. He said
he was
that.
alive.
He's
Alive.
and that he's very much alive
That
because he
doesn't
was
mean
listed
he
as a
was
war
Gumnami
criminal.
His auntie
Baba.
went
I
to
have
the
to
High
wind
Court
up,
for
sir.
my auntie.
I have to
If
wind
the
up,
air
sir.
crash
I have
did
to
not
wind up, sir.
happen,
We will take
doesn't
this story
mean he was
forward.
Gumnami Baba.
We will take this story
There is
forward.
We don't
enough
even
evidence
know
to
We
what
will
prove
take
happened
this
to
story
him.
forward, and I
Handwriting, three
urge Justice
experts.
Mukherjee, I urge Justice Mukherjee, please come on record. Please say your piece. Please let the truth come to the fore. And I urge the Uttar Pradesh government, release and open up that museum. Let the people see who Bhagwanji was and let them decide, as the handwritings, whether they were the same person, Bhagwanji and Bose.